Do you think these considerations have to be made, or it just fits in when we consider the satiety?
Yeah, I mean, really, if you're prioritizing foods that contain more protein per calorie, more potassium, more calcium per calorie, you automatically getting rid of every food that contains added seed oils that are, you know, hydrogenated and bleached and all the garbage that they do to these oils. You're automatically eliminating every packaged food that contains that as a predominant ingredient. Why are those foods bad? I think they're just incredibly they're just pure energy with no nutrients, and they've probably got all these chemical things that have been done to them. But I think perhaps people go seed oils are bad and saturated fat, therefore we can eat in unlimited quantities, or carbs are bad and therefore all fat we can eat in unlimited quantities. And whenever people swing to extremes like that, they always get themselves into trouble because someone told them that this is bad and that's really good and I can eat unlimited quantities of that. I just don't think that's a thing. So, you can't demonize seed oils and therefore eat suet and nothing else. I just don't think that's nutritious either.
So it's just devil is in the quantity.
Yeah, essentially. And how much nutrients are you getting from that? And seed oils aren't.
Right.
They're very nutrient poor.
So, Marty, what's the role of the nutritional craving, like the hierarchy, like nutrition, like protein first, then calcium, then potassium?
Yeah.
How does this help in stopping binge eating?
Yeah, I mean, protein is the number one thing we eat. We crave when we eat, and we just need to keep our muscle mass. And then, as you mentioned, calcium is critical for our bones. Osteopenia is really prevalent after sarcopenia, which is loss of muscle due to a lack of protein and actually, being active. Um, Sodium we naturally get enough of quite easily because we've got such a strong appetite for it. So really, very few people are sodium deficient, and the food manufacturers know that if they put just the right amount of sodium in food, we'll eat more of it. So nobody's sodium deficient, and most people get enough because they salt to taste. So that's often not a big priority, but potassium balances sodium. Really, potassium's the yin to sodium is yang, and they go together inside and outside the cells in our body. So we need enough potassium, and I think a lot of the blood pressure issues and a lot of the issues are due to not too much sodium, but not enough potassium to balance the sodium in our diet. And sodium is just integral to fresh, natural whole food and is very, very rarely supplemented. You can't fortify foods with potassium, A, because it tastes awful, B, because it messes with blood pressure medications, so we can't supplement it in large amounts. So yeah, we seem to have this subconscious craving for potassium that if we get, or at least when we get foods that can naturally contain more potassium, it's a really big deal in satiety and helps us better predict how much people will eat. So I've basically taken 600,000 days of data and optimized all the different factors to say how do we weight them to align the best possible with how much people actually eat based on their nutritional properties. So I can, based on what you're eating, give you a really good estimate of how much you'll eat better than anybody in the world, I think.
Right. So one ingredient, or one nutrient that doesn't get enough credit, I believe, is
Mm.
fiber.
Yeah.
So what is its role? Like, how important is it as per your this thing?
Yeah, there's definitely there seems to be a bliss point in a way for fiber. I don't think we crave fiber, but if food is just the right crunchy, just the right texture, we go, yeah, that's nice. I enjoy that. And I think food manufacturers optimize their Big Macs and their chips and their bars to have the right mouthfeel and crunch. So, when you're talking carnivore with zero fiber, that's not quite as sexy as that perfect amount of fiber. So there's this bliss point at about 15 grams per 2,000 calories. But if you're eating 50 or 60 or 70 grams of fiber per 2,000 calories, what you're eating is just a lot of veggies, a lot of non-starchy veggies, which are really hard to overeat. So, and fiber is a signature of minimally processed carbohydrates. So it's not refined sugar, it's not refined flour, it's natural whole foods. So it's really a signature of minimally processed food, and therefore largely beneficial. Some people talk about it being beneficial for gut health and your microbiome and et cetera, et cetera. And I don't get into that too much, but nothing wrong with it if you tolerate it well.
Right.
Fun talking to two engineers about nutrition. This is great. Usually.
Right, right. So coming to the Indian side of things, right? Like one of the problems we have is uh, low protein,
Mm,
other way to say is low satiety diet, and we have this combinations of fats and carbs, which are very
yeah.
unique and making them hyper palatable. So
Mm,
for our audience, what do you think is the way forward, right? Like, what do we do? Do we add more veggies, or what do we do? Like, and you know the whole
yeah.
thing about non-veg not being too prevalent also.
Yeah. I think in India it's just the same as everywhere else when in China and India and those sort of places that used to be more high carbohydrate, when they got access to vegetable oils, they just went, yeah, we'll take a rice and add a ton of cheap oil and it tastes really good. And we got fried rice and all these, fried poppadoms and all those fried carb and fat things. It's not carbs that are bad or fat that are bad, but you feel guilty. You overeat those, the fried rice, the poppadoms, the dim sims, or whatever it is. So, um, if you're going to eat, if you enjoy the rice, try not to add too much oil to that. But really getting back to basics, it's how do you get your protein is number one, and that can be low fat dairy, your cottage cheese, paneer, um, getting you know, the soy protein, the eggs, maybe with egg white with one whole egg can be a really good way to dial up your protein percentage. As you mentioned, anything fresh veggies in their whole state rather than all the refined grains that we tend to add fat to as well. So it's the same principle, just in a different context. And you guys have got your own Indian food database that isn't quite as thorough. I've sort of had a bit of a play with it. And yeah, there's definitely foods unique to the Indian context, but the same principles, I think, I've analyzed the 660,000 days of data covers third world countries, our optimizers, and the US food database. So it's taken from, I've tried to solve the problem of what the humans crave. So yeah, just more fresh whole food is the number one thing, and there's plenty of ways to get that, particularly protein. But
Quite
definitely a challenge in the Indian context because diabetes is rife. Because you're probably more genetically predisposed to type 2 diabetes, which is pretty scary.
so Marty, any other concept you want to discuss which we might have missed about satiety or nutrient density?
Oh wow. No, you've let me go on for a very long time, which I've really enjoyed talking to two guys who actually read the articles and got their head around what I'd done with quantifying satiety and nutrient density. So if people want to see this, I've in our community we've got a bunch of infographics that just say what are pictorially high satiety foods, and people can choose from the dairy or the meat or the seafood or the veggies or the grains and the legumes, and then I've got a bunch of interactive charts that you can say what's the satiety score for this food or that food. These are the foods I eat, and which ones are better than others. And it's all sort of intuitive once you look at it, compare and go, oh yeah, the you know, veggies or the fish or the meat or the dairy, the low fat dairy is really satiating. That Greek yogurt is better than the Mars bar and the everything on the McDonald's menu that gets a score of 0. So yeah, jump into our community. If you go to the Optimizing Nutrition website and check that out, there's a link to that, and 12,000 people, all eager to help other people because they've been helped and are just buzzing with excitement. It keeps me very busy every day, just replying to everybody in that group. So, yeah, we get a ton of free resources and a few challenges too that can guide people through whether they just want to use the glucose meter to guide when and what they eat, or really dial it in and look at their satiety or nutrient density with the macros masterclass and the micros masterclass.
So, final question from me: what's next for you guys? Like, what's is there anything else you're looking forward to?
Oh, wow. I just love, I want to start a movement around nutrition, just, around the idea that nutrition is about nutrients and getting the nutrients in your food and showing people what that looks like. And I think it's just criminal that people are so confused whether they should be plant-based or vegan or carnivore or omnivore or blue zone or there's all these named diets, and everybody's got a motive to sell you something with that named diet. But wherever you are, whatever you eat, there's a lot of what you already eat that is really good for you. And if you just learn the good things versus the bad things and eat a bit more of that and a bit less of that, everything falls into place. So yeah, I just want to continue to make that simpler and easier for people to do, which is unfortunately not easy. I take a very hands-on approach in our challenges to guide people through and help them with their diet, and just systematizing that and improving our apps to make it simpler and more scalable is a big passion. So it's a good quest for the rest of my life.
Count us in to
Yeah.
expand on this.
Yeah, jump into our next challenges. We've got a macros masterclass on the 1st of February. I'll invite you guys afterwards, and we get people to track what they're currently eating, and then I run it through our satiety algorithm and say this is what you were eating, these are your new target macros, but these are the foods that will help you boost satiety and feel more satiated and hit those macros. And here's a couple hundred recipes, and yeah, so it's a whole lot of fun. And I love that people keep coming back and getting better and better and better results. And I've been doing these interviews fortnightly with our community and just sharing optimizer stories. And I tear up just seeing people who really struggled for decades and just said, I don't want to live in this body. I hate this life, and there must be a way. And then they came and found us, and they got their life back, they got their body back, and seeing that transformation, I sort of think of what my wife's life could have been like if her mum had known what her parents had known what we know now when she was 10, when she got type 1 diabetes. And but it's not just my wife, it's the whole continent of America and India, and the whole world has just been drowned in engineered food, and we can reverse engineer that. So that's a pretty fun mission.
So awesome, Marty, your
Thank you.
passion, your passion for this, it's clearly evident. And we had such a great talk with you today, and it's so inspiring. And
Thank you.
your website is packed with information. It's a work of art. So really appreciate
Thank you.
you coming to our podcast and sharing all the wisdom and all the insights with us. It's amazing. Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank you
much.
so much for the opportunity. Been a pleasure
And
to talk to two engineers about all the nerdy stuff in nutrition.
and I don't know if anybody's told you this, but you look a lot like Brett Lee.
Thank you.
Yeah, so great time chatting with you. I hope we can like expand on this whole satiety concept and reach out to people who absolutely need it.
Yeah, no, the big need, especially in India. So yeah, definitely happy to keep chatting with you guys and covering any questions from your community too. So it's great to
Right.
expand it to India. Yeah.
Right. So how just last thing, how do we so any of the audience watching this, how do we get on your community? Like you go to the website and is there some sort of membership?
Yeah, there's a little if you Google my optimizing nutrition, there's a member login in the top right
Right.
corner of the website, or on my X, you can just click on the link and it'll get you into our
Right.
community and all the free food lists and welcome checklist and all the free tools and sample recipe books, and we've just put together a crazy amount of free stuff for people to try, and then they can join our guided courses and challenges if they want to play with that. But come say hi and try the stuff, and yeah.
Right. Definitely.
Awesome.